real close to 10 o'clock, so at this time, we'll go ahead and open up our regular session of August 17th, 2016. And if everyone could please either silence or turn off their cell phones, and will you join us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Denise, I see we have a deletion.
We do. We actually were gonna talk about ATVs today, but we're gonna postpone that as well.
Okay,
And we are taking off our 1030 ordinance number 115 for Red Rock. The town has some more work to do, so.
So both of those will be continued is what they'll be.
Correct.
okay,
And I just want to mention on the ATV, the reason why that one's continued is we're waiting on some information from the subcommittee that's going to make a recommendation to us, plus to follow up on, make sure all the road numbers are correct that they're requesting.
okay, very good. So 10 a.m., any public comment that isn't going to be included in our discussions today on our regular agenda? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move down because our public hearing on road vacations will start at 10:10. We'll go ahead and move down to other business. First item is had the discussion yesterday on the Gabion Rock bid award recommendation. Commissioner Winters?
Yeah, we have a federal highways project where we're receiving dollars on Dog Lake Lane. There will be several gabions along to secure the shoulder on a portion of that. We need 4 to 8 inch rock. We need 1,000 yards of it. We went out for 3 different quotes by our contract review board rules. We have 3 different quotes. Only 1 out of the 3 qualify because only 1 makes ODOT spec. And so with that, I'll make a motion to accept the quote from Knife River for 1,000 yards of 4 to 8 inch Gabion rock for $13 a yard. And that will be at the pit. We'll haul it from there.
So Commissioner, I'm seeing, okay, yep. I'll second it.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Next item, Denise, was Dave gonna join you, or are you just gonna?
I told him that he didn't need to. He needed to run out to the airport, so you weren't in your office, so I just let him know that.
Okay.
Denise done a good job on this one yesterday.
So, it's pretty simple. This is for our bus shelter that's going to store our special transportation buses in North Lake, at the North Lake Annex. Dave went out for 3 quotes, and the lowest one is his recommendation, and that's with Ron Frank Construction. 3 bids, I will say 3 bids were requested, 2 were received. The 3rd one never responded, so.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to accept the bid from Ron Frank Construction for bus barn, and total cost $37,921.83 as the low bidder.
I'll second it. Discussion, Denise, as you mentioned yesterday with the question that was asked, these will be state and federal funds that
Correct.
that'll be
That is
paying
correct.
for this new barn. It's gonna be great to have those covered and protected, so
It is.
thank you. Any other discussion besides that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And Denise again, fleet RFQ award.
So this is for our purchase of the 2 vehicles approved during budget time for our sheriff's department. For 2 F-150 pickups. Our lowest bidder was Hall Motor Company. We did ask for 3, we did receive 2. Butler Ford did not respond to our request.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to accept the low bid from Hall Motor Company for 2 $29,993 per vehicle.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded to approve the award of 2 vehicle purchases to Hall Motors. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, we are super quick, we're not at 10:10 yet. We have meeting minutes.
We do. We unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you wanna look at it, have 14 sets.
Yep.
They've been very busy in special sessions, in my
There's been a
defense.
lot of meetings.
I hate to delay it one more time, but I have not had a chance to review them.
You have not read all those.
I have not read all of these. I don't know if you have, Dan. Have you read all of them?
Oh, since you said you have, and I'll say I have.
And I'm very comfortable if you
No.
review them all.
No,
To
that's
second your
fine.
motion.
No. There's,
See, when the pressure gets on, you cave here.
no, because we actually have a number of those that we have one of the 3 of us missing for,
Okay.
so I
Okay.
think it's much.
I have not been able to review all of them.
Denise has put into, and we need to put in a fair amount of time making sure that we review them.
Just fair warning, that means that next time there'll be more,
There's
Yes.
gonna be more.
because I still have.
Well, you can make a footnote on the webpage and say it's not my fault, you're not
Okay.
seeing these.
You can blame it on Commissioner Winters, yeah.
Yeah.
I do have a request from Mary at Red Rock to view minutes. Do you mind if I send draft minutes?
To view minutes?
To review
Mhm.
them, just make sure they say draft.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I will forward those to you.
Yeah.
We don't normally
That's
do
fine.
that, so. Now what do you wanna talk about?
Oh, boy. I asked for public comment. We have 3 minutes, and we like to wait just in case someone does want to attend an advertised meeting.
I can give some update on the road department. We'll just fill in a little bit of time if you like. Our federal highways project out at Plush, the overlay is done. On the 29th, we'll be chip sealing out there. We'll chip seal all the way to the end of the pavement out by the Flagstaff Road, so that'll start on the 29th. This week, we're screening some rock out in the same pit, getting ready for the chip sealing. We are doing some work at the fairgrounds, very happy with the work that the road department's doing there. They're doing some blade patching in the vendor area. That work done there is by open request, so the dollars for that are not road department dollars. Those are come from general fund through our budgeting process where that we approve as a budget board and the commissioners open request. So it's going to be a nice stopgap out there at the fairgrounds that they're doing. And like I said yesterday, and you took the opportunity yesterday, Dan, to thank the road department and everybody. So they've just been working real well, the road department out there since the retirement of Rick, and can't commend all the crew out there enough. So that's continuing on. That didn't take 3 minutes, but that killed a little bit. Now you got a minute to kill, man.
Just a little heads up on on our auction.
Mm-hmm.
We did re-up our sand rails. One of them has already hit the reserve of 8,000, and the
good.
other one is close, it was at 6,500 this morning, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and
Very
we're only
good.
on day 3, so
Yep.
I am
And that's
excited.
another 10-day
Correct,
timeframe.
that is correct.
Darwin keeps moving around in.
I know, cause
so-
I'm assuming we're gonna probably want the Google Earth, see both these road
Absolutely,
locations. So
that'd be great.
so let me, oh, we got it, I just need to punch this on.
You got 1 minute and 10 seconds.
See how fast I can hit this.
No pressure. Here, I can do this.
Which one do we have first? Sure.
We have
We're late first.
Silver Lake.
I wasn't sure you guys would show up today, but thank you for coming.
Well, we haven't seen this thing all the way through, and this is the first time, so we need to see it through and find out what.
Well, it's probably a beautiful drive this morning. It was from Paisley, I know.
No, they're not really fast.
Oh, yeah. Yep. we are at 10:10, so at this time, our advertised time, that we are going to open up our public hearing. This is the second hearing of our road vacation request. And our first one, Darwin, are you gonna wanna give introduction to
Yep,
both of
and I
those
can give it now while I'm doing this. So,
Are you gonna do it separately? Or are you gonna-
yeah, let's deal with them separately.
Okay,
The first one, nice to see the gentleman's here. Apologize for not being at the meeting 2 weeks ago. Happened to be at the hospital. My wife was having a baby about an hour later. So, baby and mom are both doing well, and appreciate all those that have helped support our family and the transition for a new baby. But the failure on my part on this one was knowing that we were having 2 road vacations come in at the same time. I kind of wanted to process them both together. We actually have full support from all 3 adjacent property owners on the one in Silver Lake, both the property owner to the south and the 2 that are to the north. Because all 3 have signed off on it, we could have actually held this property vacation without a hearing. We don't have these that often, so it kind of just escaped my memory that we could have done it that way without having to review the ORS until right before the hearing last 2 weeks ago. So certainly, there's no reason not to approve this one, to vacate an undeveloped street that's been platted but not constructed. So it's a 60-foot wide street that would go to each of the neighbors on both sides. So my recommendation, which you have in your packet, is to approve.
Well, I think we better have our hearing process and close the hearing
Yes,
before we
open
make
and
the
close.
recommendation.
Yeah, that's.
and we did have a hearing a couple of weeks ago, and we are into hearing number 2. And we are ready to hear any testimony in addition to what we've heard before, so. Does anyone have anything they'd like to say at this time? So were you recommending, Commissioner, that we have these as separate hearings?
I think that would be very appropriate. I would.
So we will, hearing no additional information, we'll close the hearing on the Jones request for the Silver Lake vacation as described by our planning director, Darwin Johnson.
So, for the record, I have been by statute the road official, designated the road official by the hearing process and by road vacation. I have to the board. This is separate from being commissioner. Make sure a couple things are done. The legal description was all put out and correct. Darwin done that. So that's one of the requirements as the road official. The other requirement is for the road official to make a statement whether or not if this was in the public's interest. And as road official, I see that this would definitely benefit the public as far as I'm concerned, because of this will, it's not a constructed street. If there's no reason to construct this street, and if it was construction, it would cost a certain amount of dollars. So at this point, all property owners are in favor of this, and it's non-constructed, so it'd be in the public's best interest to go ahead and accept if the recommendation is to vacate. No objections from the road official.
Okay.
Just so the record has that. Now, but my commissioner.
Yeah, put your commissioner hat on. So go ahead and put your commissioner hat on.
I got it back on. I'd be interested to hear the recommendation from Darwin now.
Yeah.
And thanks. Good timing here, because let me zoom in on this property and show you what we're talking about here. You'll recognize the fire hall here in Silver Lake to the left on the screen, and this blocked out area in red is the platted road in question to vacate, and I just turned it off there for a second so you could see that, you know, it's clearly just a field. You know, there's no intention, certainly the road department would say that there's certainly no money to develop that street, even if it needed to be, but there's access on two different locations for the two northern properties and access on just two sides for the southern property. We had another, there was a correspondence in the record from someone in the Silver Lake area that also was thought that this was a good idea, even though they had no interest in the property. They're not adjacent. So we have the three adjacents agreeing to it, think that it's a great idea, as well as, you know, others in the community. And certainly it's my recommendation to approve this as submitted, as the order in the package.
Okay. Well, and I will just state that after our last meeting and getting a chance to visit with the folks about it and what they're doing up there, it's really enjoyable to have these kind of requests come before us because they're pretty straightforward and it's the right thing to do. And the improvements that you're making, once again, are just phenomenal. And we know that the property there in question is going to be much more sightly and along with your home and everything else. So I'm very much in favor of this.
Bring up the property values
Oh, yeah.
around close that and clean the place up.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to accept the order of vacation in the matter of the vacation proceedings of certain public land within Lake County, and it will reference the legal description.
And I will second that. The motion has been made and seconded to approve the order of vacation request as presented with legal description. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The order that you're given, it's dated the 3rd, so Darwin's gonna
Yes.
update that
Okay.
prior to signature.
Okay. It is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what's our next step?
Stop it.
I thought you was gonna haul that barnwood down for us to use at our fairgrounds.
You want it?
Well, the fairgrounds does, but I'm not coming to get it.
Come on again, please. It's available this afternoon. You guys passed it.
You own it now.
So Jones, the county now will send this to cartography, and it'll, 50% will go to each side. So there's nothing you guys have to do with the surveyor. However, if you guys wanted to work out a lot line adjustment with your neighbor and now get their other 30 as well, you guys have the option to do that privately.
I want to keep it as straight up as we can. As soon as we can, get those sheds tore down. It's on the line, it's on that property, because they're just garbage.
Yeah.
And then eventually, as soon as I get my tools out of the next one, it's gonna come down too, and I'll be at your house saying, oh, please, can I have a building permit to replace it?
Yep, sounds good.
Very good.
Safe travels.
Yes.
So we can go
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, our next public hearing is going to be on a road vacation request, and I don't know if, I guess we're calling it a road vacation request. It's a smaller area than what was originally requested for the Hunter Hot Springs Jim Gullickson property. So we'll open the hearing on that, and we will take public comment and testimony at this time.
Summary real quick?
Oh, yes,
Yep.
sorry.
So, again, we had this last time, and
Yeah.
again,
Just
same
don't make
reason
a
I was gone.
recommendation yet.
Yeah, same reason I was gone from that meeting is, still applies. And I'll say that the original request was for the full road, which in the maps that you have in front of you in your packet, was all from 395 into Hunter's Hot Springs, and also the purple that's up on the screen. Because the neighbor to the south, Susan Blaylock, wrote in comments saying she was opposed to the vacation. We don't have 100% of the adjacent property owners agreeing to this, so then, knowing that, we couldn't move forward on the full vacation. So, having spoken with the requestee, Mr. Jim Gullickson of Hunter's Hot Springs, owner of that and operator, we determined that using a smaller area would still help with some of the problems that he feels he's facing out there with vandalism and theft and things like that. So the purple is what is now the proposal. Because the way the purple is drawn, he is the only adjacent, as we still have legal access to the south, two properties. The circle that I've drawn was taken, again, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a surveyor, but I went to one of the cul-de-sacs in town and saw that it was roughly 100 feet in width there, diameter. So I drew that on there, made sure that we still had 100 feet to go, and I rounded up a little bit more. So using the south boundary, what's written as a legal description, the two red lines that you're seeing are 100 feet parallel to the north of that south boundary, which then, that purple's drawn that way so that we still have enough room to make full, complete turnarounds if the purple area is vacated. There is history here in which the road used to go all the way through. I think we may have heard some of that in the original hearing 2 weeks ago on the 3rd. But that process was long ago and was vacated. This would certainly help to, at least in Jim Gullickson's mind, some of the issues that he's facing out there. So, and I believe that Sarah Bunton is here. Again, I see you,
Right.
so, but your original comments are still in the record from the original hearing, of which, there's opposition there. So, and I will certainly be available to answer any other questions you have for me.
Well, it's open to testimony, but I have a question, given the submittal we received from Jim this morning.
I have one question on put on your other hat of the road
Sure.
department. What is the thing, what the road department would say about it?
I think it'd be very fine for that,
Okay.
especially with this one where there's some opposition. As a road official, and I've talked with Mr. Gullickson, it would be in the public's best interest to vacate parking lot part of it, because the county has not fulfilled its duty over the years of plowing snow, chip sealing, or maintaining this. And it doesn't fit the county road structure to own parking lots. So strictly as a road official, looking at it as road operations, if lot is conducive for road operations, it doesn't fit the normal operations of the road department. So that is what I would bring forward here, would be of the public's best interest as far as a road official and maintaining roads. It'd be the best public interest.
And traffic-wise, would you be doing the traffic for like Geyser View Lane? Because I did talk to the chamber, and at this point, the chamber sends everybody down Geyser View Lane. And the traffic is high at certain times. It is just, I started living there, it was a dirt road.
Yep.
So yeah, anything, but since the prison and Fish and Wildlife and everybody going down that road, it is a hazard. At times there's hazards when people stop in the middle of the road to see the geyser. I still feel even with that little part, unless there's an alternative place where people can get off the road
Sarah,
to see the geyser.
I-
So I,
Let me finish the road
Okay.
official part of it. So strictly as looking at it for road operations, it's not.
Right, I
conducive
understand
the
that.
way we do there. Now,
I
as
understand.
road official, I did call and talk with Mr. Gullickson, and very positive, and knowing your comments from the last one, if there was an alternative, you would not be opposed to this. And we have received stuff, I'd like for Jim to be able to talk, but there is a possible alternative. And so that will be in the hearing process, not as road official, but
Okay.
as road official,
Wait to hear that.
that part. So I would like for Jim to get a chance to speak of his alternative. I'll take my road official hat off.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you for asking, though. I
Yeah.
needed to get that forward.
Okay.
So Jim, do you wanna come up?
Absolutely. I wrote a nice letter here because I'm not much of a public speaker, but I'd be happy to express my interest in it. Yeah, we've had some problems. I was a little upset when my car got stolen, and guests are having the cars broken into. I've also had a lot of unruly, not a lot, some unruly people out in the parking lot area, rolling their dogs, running loose in the pond, chasing the geese, and it's nice to be able to, we don't let our own dogs do that. Go out to address that and get cursed at. Have people say, well, this is not your property, you can't do anything about it anyway. I don't like that. I haven't lived here 40 years, but I've sat in that window and watched that parking lot for about 2,500 days. I have a good idea what goes on. So, that's my reason.
Okay. Now, you did, by your letter, you did have an alternative thought.
Absolutely, and I printed it here, and I'd be willing to work with you guys, my phone's always on. You can't see the geyser from there anyway, it's too far away. The geyser view lane, as it's named, is the closest access and best view of the geyser. The geyser wouldn't be working right now if I didn't fix it. It hadn't worked for 2 years when I bought the place, so I fixed it, repaired it, got it going.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So the alternative that Jim is talking about is exactly what you talked
Right.
about, Sarah, is Geyser Lane is a pretty narrow road, and people do go there to view the geyser, and if we was able to have an alternative site there where people could safely get off, it would still be the attraction for Lake County. I know it's a private-owned geyser, but it is quite a draw for Lake County when people come in. And Jim, through your letter, you have mentioned that you would work with the county. Are you,
Absolutely.
have you any thoughts on that?
Well, my thought is just to have a safe pull off and put a kiosk up there that explains the geyser, has a big picture of it.
So-
No,
What are we talking
You
for
could-
cost, and are you wanting to sell the property, you want to give an easement?
I would give you guys the easement at no cost, as long as you did the work and put the kiosk up. And I think you could also add other points of interest for the Lake County, for tourism, people stopping to read that. Could, mention the museum in town and Hart Mountain and whatever, the other things that attract people there.
So you would be talking an easement, not a outright ownership of the county?
Well, you could have ownership, we could deed it over to you.
Okay, well,
I'm
this
just gonna work with
this
whatever
will all
is
have to
simplest,
do with whenever we come out of.
Well, exactly, I think that's a whole other issue, but I'm willing to do it, absolutely.
Okay,
So we can't walk to the geyser anymore?
you're gonna have to speak up, I'm sorry.
We can't walk to the geyser anymore?
Well, currently the guy's not even going off, and the pond's drawing up, but
No.
people, I tell them to go around and park on Geyser View Lane. It's a lot safer to park right there, there's a low pull off, and they can see it from there, or walk through the gate there, and.
It's a long ways.
Well, I
No,
sort
it's
of,
actually a lot quicker if you drive around.
I actually drew on if an easement or if there was actually a walking lane to the edge of it. I don't know if you would allow that, Jim. I just.
And that's possible, and it's something we could address.
Okay, you're not here to stop people from being able to see the geyser. What you
No,
have
it's ridiculous.
is a county ownership of a parking lot that is a public use, and you don't have the right to say you can't park here tonight because it's.
Yeah, and we get people coming in there all times of the night parking, that creates a security hazard for me or my son would have to go out there and say, what are you doing? Put the needle down, or you're doing drugs out here, we don't like that, you need to go to town. It's just, it's a safety issue, and
Okay.
people stealing rigs and.
Well, and I guess just for the discussion, this isn't, it would be your property, you do what you want with it, but your intent isn't to fence it off because it's conducive for your business, but it'd let you
Correct.
secure by being,
Correct.
not have people
And I
park
think,
there.
yes, and a lot of that would have to do with how things go. If we continue to have vandalism problems, stuff missing, unruly people coming out there, that would be an option, but I don't see that happening.
Okay.
It's nice to have a little more authority than go out to talk to people 12 o'clock at night going, what are you doing out there?
I'm Ginger Casto and a former resident out there, and I understand what the issue is completely, having, years ago. But anyway, the only thing I wanted to say about it is, and I'm sure that this would be true, is to be really careful where the pullout is. There is a lot of hot spring activity along that side, would be the left or south side of the road. Having witnessed a couple of neighbors' pets lose their lives in those areas, and I mean, it's just, the ground there is very precarious, as everybody probably knows, but that, I would just want to add that caution there, that's all.
That's a great point. And when the pullout was put in the kiosk and everything, I think it should be fenced so that people don't have that liability.
Yeah, that's an issue, because
Because
people
there's hot,
won't
there's
know.
hot pools on
There
that
is, there's
side.
little pockets you can't even see when you
Right.
slip your ankle, you're going down your knee and
Right.
pull out a stub. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
But there is room enough there to actually
Absolutely.
do a pull-out without getting into the hot springs site.
Correct.
I know a few of the pockets, I don't know the little ones you're talking about, but most all of this that's been around.
it changes on a yearly
Yeah.
basis. I mean,
Sarah, and I wrote down last time.
Right, and that, I'm workable with that. It's just the timeline until we have another place on the other side that's safe for people. I'm still opposed to that, but if there was a workout deal that's really on paper that Jim and the county is gonna work on something like that, maybe it could even be a town combination of funds or however you work it, then yeah, that would be fine to go on Geyser View. As long as there's a safe place for people. Like I said, we get all kinds of turnaround people. We get, as Jim's saying, yes, the traffic's there, but when I talk to the chamber, they send everybody down Geyser View now. And so that's why we've seen the high traffic.
Sure.
They go down, they come down our driveway, they turn around, they go out the other, they go down to Jim's. But Jim does have no trespassing, so at that point, there isn't a place for people to get down.
Sure.
So if there's a timeline that we could at least talk about right now, what it would be on the other side where we could address traffic issues, that's why I was concerned about the traffic. I mean, the traffic on Geyser View is a lot.
Yes.
At the change of guard, of the prison, the Fish and Wildlife at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, Forest Service goes down that road. I mean, it's just a lot of traffic. So for public, yes, if there was a timeline that we could do it, yeah, maybe this is something that can be done in 6 months or something, that you could have something ready to pull people off. But until then, I'm still against it until we get that other side or there's an agreement that is what's gonna happen. Because we can sit here, I've been in Lake County a lot of years, we can sit here and talk about it, but when is it gonna happen? When is it gonna get done on that part when you're working with a private owner, county interest, tourism interest? How is that gonna work?
And Sarah, I made a point to tell myself this morning that because this was a hearing, I wasn't gonna talk till we closed the hearing. But I will say that I too talked to Jim, and I do think that will be part of our deliberations when we close this hearing.
Okay.
In order to make a decision, I shared with him last week some things that
Because I'd love it, if there are kiosks, because like I said, it is one of the wonders of Lake County, and yes, Jim can do whatever he wants on his property, that's his property. I'm not, private property rights, I'm number one on, yes, that's it. But I also see the importance of us at least maintaining access to some degree
Yep.
of the geyser. I don't care what happens over there.
Okay.
I have several questions when we close hearing that will be to everybody. And hearings really to take testimony on.
So do we have any other people that want to speak today during our open hearing?
And to vandalism and stuff, we've had one time where somebody's come on and stole my little baby moons off my truck, and that has been probably 30 years ago for vandalism.
Okay. So hearing no other comments at this time, I'm going to go ahead. Oh, Commissioner, are you ready for us to close the hearing?
Yep, absolutely.
And I will close the hearing at this time on the request for the vacation of that said property, Hunter's Hot Springs, Jim Cullis. And now open it up for our discussion.
And we'll be asking questions back and forth, but I need to have a discussion sort of with some concerns. This vacation still has the county as ownership of partial of a parking lot, which as road official is not conducive to the road structure. It's not really fair to the business owner there if we're not gonna maintain and take care of that appropriately. With our budgets getting tighter with the road department, we're not able to even chip seal and pave our own roads. So just for thought, between you and I talking this time, is I would almost rather see it vacated in a straight line, that's the road down through there, and for Mr. Gullick to give an easement there so that trucks can turn around.
So can you go up there, Commissioner?
I would say your road prism is here.
Yes.
For it to continue down, this section here is, Darwin done very good work, he's trying to keep for a turnaround.
Right.
But for Mr. Gullickson, then if we're not going to maintain and chip seal or take care of this, why would he want us to own that, is what I'm saying, and we have no reason to own it. But I would like, if he would be agreeable, to make sure if he ever fenced it or whatever, that there's an easement to give enough truck turnaround, just a public easement, I guess, not ownership of the county, if that's even possible to do.
So that would still allow access to the other landowners down there?
Yes.
Landowners.
Yeah, it would still give to Bullock,
Blaylock.
Blaylock. And I have not talked to Mr. Gullickson about this, I haven't talked to Darwin or anybody else. But what we can end up with this here is whenever there is a truck or a semi or anything, I think a semi could at least back around and make the circle there, but we have to make sure that people get down there, they don't get trapped if he ever decides to fence it. And I don't know that he'd fence, but he might gate it at certain hours of the night or something like that, it seems like it might be appropriate. But anyways, that's just for discussion amongst us, and we can ask if it would be acceptable to an idea like that or not.
Well, before we get on to the discussion of an alternative site so that we don't lose the viewing ability and the history of being able to enjoy the geyser when it does operate, I'm just gonna make a couple of comments. First comment, when we talked, Commissioner, about the road, which is no longer considered part of this process from 395 in, I just have to say it for the record, and we can't go back in time like I say quite often, unless I'm looking at you here, but I have no idea why we ever, as a county, way back when, did that. That it's going to one private business and one home. But with that said, we did, and we included the parking lot. And we included it once upon a time, the road all the way through. The second comment, Jim, that I'm gonna make is, quite honestly, if our decision is to allow for this vacation, if we can work out the details and have a written agreement with a time certain to implement something, I'm gonna suggest, and I was gonna ask the sheriff to attend today, but I didn't, it's not gonna change your vandalism problem at all. People don't have to drive down there to go down, and I feel bad for you, having, you experienced that, but no one's gonna suggest, none of those that run around the middle of the night are gonna say, well, didn't you hear the county commissioners? did a road vacation on that parking lot, so we can't go down there anymore and steal from them. So I just want to clearly state that, you know, as part of the reason for whatever we do, I'm not considering that. You know, if it's a benefit to you, then that's great, but I do not believe it will be, so personally.
The background for that road, why the county did it, was ownership, previous owners of Hunters. I know one owner, they went under one winter that we were really bad, and they didn't have the equipment. It was the Persenskis that once owned it, they didn't have the equipment, and so they really lost their butt. And so they ended up selling Hunters, and so the county took it over for tourism, because it was a very important road to the county to go in there. And yes, Jim owns it now, he could own, you know, maybe he won't own it next year, and then you might run into, they want the county to take over that road, you know, so that's the dynamic of that road. That road, the county took it over for tourism to get people into Hunters, and they would, through the snowstorms and the drifting on the south side, they would bulldoze that. And that, you asked that you didn't, but I just wanted to let you know.
And you may be exactly right. I've lived here for 45 years myself, and,
Yeah.
you know, quite frankly, when it comes, and we don't need to go there.
No, but you
But the
did wanted to know, so
Well,
I just thought I'd put my
I
2
also,
cents
since you're gonna suggest that, the county's
Yeah.
paved historically and built a lot of roads
Oh,
when we
yeah.
had a lot of money to do that,
Right,
that in this day and age, we wouldn't even consider. So that's my point,
Right.
is that we shouldn't be in that business. But
So,
anyway,
so that's not a make or break it, it was a suggestion to come forward to just lessen, and that's sort of just a road view, is lessen the cost to the county of trying to maintain a small piece. I don't wanna have to be the one that says, Jim, no, we're not gonna fix your potholes out there, even though the county owns it, you know.
yeah.
That's sort of what we're down to at our road department is that, I do have to say a little bit about history. It's back then, I'm sure it's not much different than what we're doing today, trying to find an alternative way to preserve and the geyser, and it's just the draw of the Lake County. That geyser is known statewide, so whoever was sitting in our positions at that time was trying to preserve the tourism and all those things the same as similar to what we're doing today. And so just a comment, I can't remember if I was working at the road department or not back in the time. I think I was, and it's like, why would we have a road like this as an
right,
employee?
right. And well, it's the same, the Sabins have a road, and the county does the Sabins just for that one house, so
Yeah.
you do a lot of things.
Yeah.
You
So,
know? Yeah,
I do, so my talk there, if it stays just the way it is, I'm fine with that. I'm not going to push that too far, it's just for discussion. The alternative site, I really like that, because of what Sarah had said is very true. Whether this is blocked off or not, we have, in the tourism side, a lot of people that use that road over there. There's been growth in Lake County, so there's added traffic on that. Myself, I take people to see the geyser, and I don't pull down to the parking lot. I go over on Geyser Lane, and then you're right there in the middle of traffic trying to get off the shoulder or whatever. So I think it's a great alternative with reserves for me, not knowing particulars of that's outside of the road right-of-way. We take ownership of that. What is the guidelines before we're able to disturb that ground? Or if it's already been disturbed.
right, there's sites, yes.
Yes, and so
archaeological
it
sites.
makes perfect common sense without knowing what we're allowed to do on that piece of ground. Now then, if the owner had that piece of ground, pretty much, if it's able to, lot line adjusted and put a little bit of gravel on there, and then we take ownership of it after it's been disturbed, might be.
Yeah, because when they did the hot water, they found a body, and so they found the site where it's buried in place in the roadway there.
Yes,
So,
so
yeah.
there's some, it makes perfect common sense to do this. is it doable? That's because of, whatever we do, we want to do appropriately and by the guidelines.
I
And-
agree.
and so, I really like the alternative idea. I will speak a little bit, and I'm sorry, I'll speak a little bit about your vandalism. This does give you a tool to at least run people off if they're parked out there in the middle of the night, where somebody pulls in there and they're just trying to utilize a parking lot the same as if they were going to be at another parking lot. They're not a customer, they're not anything else other than using a public parking area. Right now, you have really no authority to kick them off unless you phone the cops. If you own that, it is your property. And it gives you a little bit more.
So that issue has arisen.
Yes, and you had mentioned that, so, the ones that are gonna come in and steal your car probably still will, but the ones that park there at 2 o'clock in the morning that are possibly shady, you have an option to go and say, get out of here. So I recognize that portion of it becoming private. So Sarah, to answer your question, put a time frame, 6 months or whatever, with an alternative
Right.
site.
Right, because
I don't know that we could do that today because there's too many unknowns with the cultural rich area and being able to do that. Boy, I'd love to just go dump
Right.
rock and make it happen, but it have to be, follow the guidelines and everything. There's a lot of, people keep a very close eye on all of that, especially with the smaller pools and everything. They don't want anything disturbed out there. Cultural resources, other things, and I gotta talk what the facts are, and there's your facts out there, so, I like the idea. Jim, I appreciate so much that you're willing to go there. I just don't know the guidelines around, we only make my guess would probably need to be at least 30, 40 foot deep into there to be able to have cars pull in and back out safely. And I don't know the depth of the brook or what you're willing to do there. So,
Well, I think for today's purposes, personally, the only way we can start to move forward is we would have to have an agreement that all these things are doable before we would say that it would be officially vacated. But upon it being doable and done, then I think we could say today that we would be willing to vacate that. That way, we don't put a timeline on it. We keep it the way it is. Everything's researched from the cultural side, from the size it would be necessary to pull cars off safely and have a viewing spot, the fencing, et cetera, et cetera. And if we find out it's not because of the cultural sites or whatever we found out, or we found out it was such a size, Jim, that you just said, nah, I can't give up that much.
I'm sorry,
I can't give up that much land, whatever the reason
or the
was.
alternative side would be Darwin. I'm sorry.
Somewhere up here, I'm guessing.
I just wanted to see if
See,
any of
they,
it's
I've
been,
been just quietly listening.
no, I just wondered if it's been disturbed over there.
Well, I think it has to, there's a whole bunch of
The-
looking at and talking about.
Very
Before, I mean,
The roadway went over where the town well is before, apparently, the vacated road. That would have been all disturbed ground. But looking on the map.
Yeah,
like-
if that other road was open, again, yeah, that was already disturbed, that road is a given there.
How many feet do you show there?
So from center line to
13 feet on the
edge,
right of way?
it was 11 feet, and still out to the edge of the easement, it's still another 13 feet, so you could almost add a lane there without going on to the property at all, but that's way beyond my expertise on how that all will work out.
So no motion at this time. Jim, Sarah, could you, I guess more to Jim, if we were to make a motion contingent upon, vacation would be approved contingent upon, research and availability of property for a parking viewing area, that wouldn't get you what you want.
Right, and so, you know, I guess you'll still vote on the decision today, but I guess I could bring up, I'm glad to hear you're doing all the chip sealing around town, so if this doesn't happen, I don't get vacated, I will expect you guys to chip seal and pave that parking lot and plow it all in.
And appreciate those thoughts. I'm here to find a resolution, not the problem.
Okay.
And so, thank you very much for your comments. I don't blame you for making those comments. We have priority and we'll go by our priority. And school bus
That's
routes,
understandable.
plowing and everything are priority. So thank you for your comments. So with that said, I take that as you wanted the decision sooner than later.
Well, absolutely, that's why I'm here. And I think it's lined out pretty basic, and I'm willing to work with you guys. And
Well, and that's what you and I talked about.
well,
last
exactly.
week.
I'm the easiest guy to get along with I know of, so.
Get me outside of meetings like this and I'll challenge you to that.
Okay.
I am too. But
I am
anyway,
too.
uh,
Out of these
we
meetings,
just
I'm
need,
pretty
I'm
good.
gonna throw you all in a pool and see who
Right,
comes out
right.
with the
Yeah, let's
biggest
have a beer
blackest
together or
eye.
something.
as I said earlier, I just think we need to ensure that we have, as we leave here today, a clear understanding of what we've agreed to and what we haven't agreed to, contingent upon the ability to do what it is we're talking about. And short of that, I don't think we're where we need to be.
Well, I say, and I'm a straightforward person, with the comment that Jim just made, I guess as the road, that I would much rather make sure that that's just an easement for a turnaround instead of ownership, because the comment just made is I want you to pave and I want you to chip seal
And plow.
and plow. So if we.
As it is now, all they do is come down the road, make a quick U-turn at the end of the driveway, or into the road, and come back out when they're plowing.
And I appreciate that. And so now, since we have a road vacation in front of us and we're continuing to own a part of the parking lot, we have the owner putting a demand on us during a public process, it makes me think, well, why would we keep ownership of part of that parking lot? I mean, I really, I don't know the number of feet. How many feet is that? Is that 150 feet?
Length,
Across there? No, not that part, the part
this here, 120.
that there's 124 feet, and then come over to where you would assume the road would be,
Also down here, is what you're saying?
about halfway there, Darwin. So you're looking at 40, 50 feet. So if you look 124 by 50 feet, that's probably as bigger than our parking lot. We know what the proposal cost of paving that was out here. Yeah. So I don't know that, I guess, and I'm throwing back and forth
Yeah,
from
and-
road official to commissioner at the same time, that, why would we own a parking lot that we could have a demand come in?
Yeah, I don't have any problem with not owning the parking lot. I would just say to Jim, maybe different than you, Commissioner Winters, we're in the process without future funding, even though we talk about chip seal and preservation, of looking at a plan to decommission roads in the sense of how they currently are with asphalt cover. If we can't afford to do that, we'll probably, and decommission's probably the wrong word, it would probably be turned back to a gravel surface. So I appreciate your comment.
Well, it sounds like you're currently chip sealing around the.
We're chip sealing roads that still
That
can be
needs it.
preserved,
Yeah.
yes.
We have a preservation program, and chip sealing's about $20,000 a mile, 2-inch overlays over $100,000 a mile. And we have 720 miles road, roughly 300 and something paved. Our priority is safety first on our highways, high speed, get the product back towards market and keeping the potholes out of it. That's just what it is. The priority is on the roads right now.
And plowing, if this isn't plowed in the wintertime, I could incur a great loss of business. The customers can't get in my parking lot to park, and go in.
Yeah, I believe honestly that's a discussion for another time, but appreciate the comment. And I don't have any problem with extending the line that would be vacated if we end up coming to an agreement on the vacation out to this edge of the existing road line so that we maintain the access for the landowner, having to meet on that other piece of the parking lot.
So there's options, Commissioner, I believe, within the guidelines of the hearing process. I think we can continue the hearing. And I think there's a time frame of how long we can continue. Without legal counsel here, I'm not sure. We could possibly approve contingent upon agreement with the other parking area, research on that. So that would mean that it wouldn't be vacated until that all came into place. Darwin, do you know the time frame for if we continue a hearing?
Well, this is different than the land use decision, and I'm trying to find it real quick. I reviewed this 2 weeks ago, and I don't believe that there's any timeline on a road vacation, on continuing the hearing. References ORS 368.
Because I'm totally willing and agreeing to work with this, and that's all I can do is agree to work with you guys on this. And if it doesn't go through up there, I mean, I still want this vacated, regardless if I could do everything I can possible to help you get that up there. But if that doesn't happen, I still want it vacated, and that's what we're here to determine today,
And
for all the other reasons.
We've also had opposition that's brought forward
Mhm.
that we considered during the hearing.
That's why we're
process.
agreeing to do all this. For one of the reasons, I wanted to do it in the first place anyway. I mean, I had the discussion, I think with you when I first came in the office after my car was stolen. I said, we gotta do something out there. It's not like it wasn't already been thought of, or I didn't wanna do it.
And I direct you to start the process, which you did, so appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I'm the easiest guy in the world to get along with.
I'm trying to look on the timeline to continue. So Sarah, ask you directly,
Okay.
and this isn't the way I'm leaning towards contingent upon, but if we agree to vacate this and work with the landowner for an alternative, would you be in opposition? Because it may not happen depending on the cultural resources or the other things that were found. Would you be still in opposition as long as we follow up? And there's no guarantee it's going to happen.
Right, there's no guarantee, and that's, yeah, I'd still be in opposition if there's no guarantee. I mean, there's ways to make guarantees or contingent and working together that you can do a memorandum between you guys or something with Jim to make it go forward. But yes, there is cultural resources, there's hot water on the other side. You know, I don't know, you know, I just, it's one of our places, school buses go there. At the end of the year, they go and feed the ducks, I mean, everybody, I mean, all my kids went there, all, you know, it's just part of Lake County. And so I'm fine with the alternative site if we can make it happen. But to vacate it without something else for tourism and what we have in Lake County, no, you know, unless it's there.
Your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I've pretty well expressed, and I'm not ready today to vacate it unless we can, and until we can come up with, you know, the property rights issue, that's what's bothered me from the outset, it's Jim's property. but that's county property.
Right.
It's just, it's a mixed bag there, it's an unfortunate mixed bag. I wanna work with him and his concerns about, you know, regardless of what I believe will or will not happen, but, at the same time, recognizing the long history of people being able to view that geyser in a safe location, which heretofore has been the parking lot that the county's owned. So by vacating it without any surety that we have another safe location, I don't think we're doing our citizens justice, but I'm still respectful of the fact that
Right,
it is
and
Mr.
so-
Ellison's property.
and so am I.
So, yeah, I
So am
know you are, Sarah.
I
know.
Jim's my neighbor,
Yeah, so
and I'm
that's
fine with,
where
you
we're
know,
at.
yes, but I'm also a citizen of Lake County, and I do feel it's very important, so, no, I'm sorry, Jim.
Oh,
You're
you're
my
fine,
neighbor,
I don't
yeah.
have to plow my parking lot this winter, I think it's great, I get a new one paid. No, I look at the positives. I'd probably losing business because of it, I would be upset.
Darwin, if we were to look at an alternative site there for parking, and that would become county ownership, can the lot line adjustment be made on that piece of property by land use rules? What, within our own rules, county government rules, are we allowed to do or not allowed to? And if you can't answer that without research, that's fine, because I'm sure we're gonna be continuing this to be able to get some research done the way it looks like it's gonna be.
Yeah, I
We
wish
got
I
the
could.
easiest guy in Lake County to work with.
That's right, just ask me again.
Thankfully. So, it's not EFU land, so, you know, most of the land use I deal with is in EFU land when there's restrictions, so it's commercially zoned. The ORS 368 is where we need to turn to for how we're gonna dedicate more road in a lot line adjustment procedure. But the lot line adjustment's pretty simple to do, but we're talking about a platted road, which is Geyser V Lane, which we would then add additional land to, if not creating a new tax law in which, you know, a kiosk and,
Right.
you know, additional parking besides maybe just, you know, a pull-off lane, for, you know, for maybe a couple. I can think of a few different areas along other public roads that I drive, highways in most cases, that have these, that, it's definitely possible, it's just a matter of.
There was a little one right as you pull
I
off
think-
97 onto 140. You get on that highway about 1 mile down there, there's a little pull off on the right where there's a kiosk.
Oh,
It's not a
sure,
big
sure.
deal, it's just 20-foot wide pull off with a nice kiosk that explains the seats, the Oregon Outback.
This could be built relatively easy.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
was just doing it within the guidelines when you're in a wetlands, cultural rich, very, that's the only thing.
I stopped and looked at it yesterday.
Do you have an area you'd recommend for it to happen?
We'd have to go out there and walk it and look and find obviously I want to find the best area for it, and that's what needs to happen.
So have you had
The old road?
any studies done on the property as far as
No.
any cultural or any historical?
No.
There is some historical data
I
written
think-
up on, oh yeah,
I
there's
think
lots.
there was one.
Yeah, my husband's an archaeologist by trade, so yes, there is.
Sound like she just volunteered his expertise.
He might, yeah, I can't say, but yes, he is an archaeologist, and he does know
I know.
members of the tribe. We do know members of the tribe in different, you know, that he has.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Done
I'd like to
some stuff.
continue this hearing and give some chance to work with Mr. Golix and work with Sarah and our planning department and try to find the best alternative way to make this happen.
That sounds great.
I agree.
Darwin, do you have any comments or anything?
Just the original hearing had to be, you know, time and date, for the continuance. Are we making that time and date certain?
Well, that-
You wanna give it at least a month to
I
try to
think
work
we
on
should
this?
give it at least a month to make sure we adequately
I-
look at all these things and research it.
I-
Fair's coming up,
Yeah.
not that matters,
Well,
but there's a lot going on.
with- We
I-
gotta beat the snow because of, that sounds like.
That's right. I don't
Sounds
wanna
like
plow.
whoever is the road official will have the phone ringing off the hook.
So I,
30 days sounds appropriate to me but I'll try to get some things done.
So not,
Should be our second hearing, our second meeting in September, is that it? Is that in
I didn't
Lakeview?
bring my calendar, unfortunately.
And that's the 20th. If we did it on a work session day as opposed to a regular meeting, that wouldn't conflict with our Silver Lake meeting regardless.
Correct, that's on the seventh.
Yeah, okay.
Next is on the seventh.
So, 20th of September.
On the Tuesday instead of the board day. Doesn't matter to me. I mean,
No, we can advertise it appropriately. I think we're running to.
On the 20th.
20th September,
10:10.
Do you want to do it earlier?
we'll continue it for
Oh,
our
okay,
second
so-
meeting in
Okay.
September.
9.
That sounds great. So in the meantime, do you want me to
You can
move
start at
forward
9,
and
I forgot you
start
start
the
at 9.
We'll
process for
work on
putting a
We-
road in there, or
We
what?
need, yes, Jim, I would like to
Okay.
work with,
I'll work with you, we'll come in and talk about it,
yeah,
see who to contact with Darwin, and
Darwin
Yeah,
will be,
road official right now, then.
yeah,
you got
Darwin
the three of
will
us
be key
going.
on the land use side of it.
okay,
On the road side, the Board of Commissioners would be the one accepting it into the road system, which I, right now, don't see a problem with that. Commissioners, 20 years from now, will be asking the same question.
they're gonna be saying, those were some smart commissioners, they took that money and put a little pole off in a kiosk out there instead of paving a parking lot for a hotel they don't even know.
So, Jim, I want to try to find and make sure that if we're able to make this happen the appropriate way, and because of any time government's doing something, there's plenty of people that's watching and want to try to, there's the pro and there's the con, and it brings out con quite often, so. But we have neighbor in support, we have landowner in support. I think we can find a way to make this happen.
That sounds all I could ask for.
Will you notify if need to keep me abreast on whatever?
Yes,
Okay,
because you've asked.
thank you.
Now then,
Since
You're
you
a party of
Well,
interest.
I'm not sure yet, I mean, conditional use permit, I know it's commercial, so they can do.
Yeah, and I re-noticed it wouldn't
um,
have to, but I would.
Right, and so I don't know if you were planning issues, how that works out.
Oh, if it
so.
becomes a land use decision on it, then certainly we'd have to notice.
Okay.
we have two town councilors here, maybe the town wants to take this in.
Well, Ginger, I just said, the old road really has gone through the process. The old road, which would be accessed through the county's land, I mean, the town's land, you could do probably a kiosk there, it's probably the higher ground, it's been gravelled, it's already in there,
It's
right.
disturbed, it might be an alternative.
Right, that might be
Yeah.
the alternative site than going through ponds and more archaeological sites or whatever to do a road off the.
And you can pull that up,
So-
Darwin.
So I did pull up the National Wetlands Inventory right now, and, you know,
Yeah,
guys'
yeah.
review is here, and any of that area where we're talking of adding a kiosk and pull-off is in the wetlands, so there's a lengthy process that you'd have to go through with Department of State Lands to get approval on that, again with SHPO and everybody else involved, and
So where the geothermal
there's definitely
well is-
concerns I have with it right now.
Perfect.
Right, that could be, yeah.
Well, it's
But
You
on-
could actually include in your kiosk an explanation of the geothermal well and how it's heating the prison.
Yep.
Costs
So
and
just that
such.
little
So you're
chunk
talking
of
on the
road
town's
there.
lot.
Right,
Right.
coming around.
Which is,
You can see there's a little of that, and then I think the other owner, which is that place is for sale, is Forbes.
you know, Forbes has got all this land here for sale right now.
Yeah,
He'd be happy to sell that to you.
I'm sure.
We're not in the business of buying, we want to keep it on the tax rolls. But as neighbors, it'd be a good opportunity for you to expand your business, that property's for sale, I hear.
Right?
Just that little chunk is for sale?
I think,
No, it's-
No, the big
There's a
shop.
block there.
Oh,
This
that
lot,
shop.
and that lot.
Okay.
Full site.
how big is the piece that has the geothermal well on it? That looks close to an acre, maybe, half acre.
Or maybe,
Actually, it's only a quarter of an acre.
yeah,
Quarter of
it's
an
very,
acre.
very
That might be enough though.
Smaller than I thought.
And I'm not sure if that's exactly where the road went and how that got
It
created.
is.
It is, that's exactly it.
But that side of Jim's, now how far does the wetlands go to that?
It's right almost
The
to it.
wetlands,
Almost to it?
yeah, it's barely out of it somehow. just that turnout.
Okay, well,
I think that's probably a really good alternative for us all to look at. So,
agreement, take a look. see what we can do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
thank you guys so much.
No problem.
Thank you.
Denise, I know that Mr. Bailey wasn't available today, but did he indicate any legal updates?
There's nothing.
We had nothing for executive session.
Right.
I think we're through.